Hi, I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
We're AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching 86, Season 1, Episode 5. Last episode, we learned names. Because of learning names at the end of the episode, we learned Shin's full name, his last name, and what that meant to Lena, which is knowing Shin's brother, Shorei. I don't know what that's going to do for their closeness of relationship. I don't know if Shin's going to inquire about details of Lena knowing her brother, what actually went down. I have a really well thought out, complex theory that I've been working on. Shorei had red hair, and so does Karena.
Yes, is that the end of the theory? It's just connecting two people. Oh, okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Sweet. We get to see it. Holy shit. Oh my god. We should be seeing Shorei, right?
He's gonna get out now.
Wow. Wow,
did he turn it
quick.
off?
Chocolate. Wow.
I bet Shin was around this age at the same time.
私たちは86の人たちにどうしてお兄さんは私を守ってくれたの？俺たちはこの国で生まれて、この国で育つ国を守って戦うのは市民の義務であり、誇りだ。口先だけのクズどもとは違う。だから戦う。守りきってみせる。ちょうど君と同じくらいかな。弟がいるんだ。大きくなってるだろうな。会えてないの。
Were they kept apart?
Wow.
Because of the camps?
I can't go home yet.
俺は奨励農前。
Ray.
じゃあ珍しい名前だから。共和国の人じゃないの？僕生まれたけど、親が隣の国の出身なんだ。
Ah.
ギアーデ帝国ってわかるかな？ギオン。
Yeah.
怖くないの？怖いよ。戦わないと生き残れないから。死ぬわけにはいかない。必ず生きて帰らないといけない。
He was never able to, was he?
弟のところに。
Whew.
どうなさってますか？
見ました。5年前、この東部戦線で。
見ません。い
え、除隊したらしたいことはあるかと聞きましたね。したいことは特にありません。ただ、しなくては
Something I have to do.
この5年、ずっと。
遺体をですか？
いいえ。
The part of the headless, this like thing that he takes off of all of their machines.
おはよう、レーナ。おはよう。でしょ？クリームは合成の休み、パーティードレス見に行かない？
Ooh, a party.
革命祭用な。
Revolution Festival.
グズしてたら腕のいいおはりこはみんな埋まっちゃうわよ。今少し忙しいの。最近付き合い悪いよ。ドレスなら殿方を誘ったらどう？聞いたわよ。またお見合いしたんでしょ？
Ah.
ロドルフかったわよ。
Was.
お相手を褒めるなんて、もしかして今度こそ彼。5歳よ。欲的だからってあんまりでしょ。
Huh?
なんで貼ったの？見合い写真。
I like it. It's theatric. She'd get along with the team. Spearhead.
レーナ、疲れてるんじゃないの？良いわよ。そう かしら。パラレイドの使いしつこいけど、86なんかに尽くしてもないんだからね。
It's only gonna lead to regrets.
なのでパーティーは別に
でも
Like that she's talking to him about
ど
it.
うするんですか。
なんとでもなります。敵情の分析はありがたいですが、時間を占有してまですることではありません。
余計なことでしたか。
いえ、対局を含めた俯瞰からの上角が正確ですから、随分助かっています。ありがとうございます。
It's so formal.
よかった。
そればかりにかまけている必要はありません。あまり戦場にとらわれすぎると。
どういう冗談ですかそれって。わかりました。
You'll end up
では
like me.
せいぜい楽しんでくティーとハイヒールとドレスの窮屈さを。
革命祭ですか。
何か覚えていますか。
見た気がします。噴水のある庭園で宮殿前の。
宮殿。もしかしてタイ以前は第一区に。
とは覚えていませんが、おそらく
Wow.
は行った記憶があります。
すみません、また余計なことを。
構いません。もう顔も声も思い出せませんから。
大きくなってるだろうなと懐かしがっていました。思っているのが分かりました。帰りたがっていましたよ、あなたのところに。
そうであればいいのですが。
今紹介行動中のはずですよね。実質ですか。
すみません。
ないと判断したのならそれは尊重しますけど。
少佐は怒るかと思います。
ここまで堅物じゃありません。
ここなら誰にも見えない。あ、こら。すみません、少佐。少佐。
なんでもないです。ないですから。
少佐、戦闘準備に入ります。
こちらでは何の警報も出ていませんが。
いいえ、リオンが来ます。
We did talk about how somehow they could spot it before she got intel about it.
了解。
どうしてレギオンの襲来が分かったので
It's
すか。
because he's from there?
紹介には出ていなかったのに。
少佐、パラレードを切ってもらえます。今回は黒羊が多い。俺と同調しているのは危険です。
羊。
聞きたければ後で説明します。ください。
パラレイドなしでは状況が確認できないでしょう。は切りません。
忠告はしましたよ。
I warned you.
突出しすぎです。そのままでは包囲されて。ノイズショ
The voices.
切りますよ、少佐。
死にたくない。カイエ。
You don't think the Legion are people who've already died? I'm gonna go find my brother.
あの声。
Or do they somehow use the voices? What are black sheep? He warned her so that she wouldn't hear it. Maybe he hasn't been doing this to these people. He
I'm
said
with
he
you. Do you think we're gonna see this from Shin's perspective now?
ノイズない。
Is it audio that they purposefully play to mentally fuck with them?
大丈夫かね。
切りますよ、少佐。
死にたくない。
最悪。そんな機体と一緒に開けたんじゃねえのかよ。枯れてたのか。くそ。
死に
The
たくない。
bodies.
ガンスリンガー。方位丸60、距離800。3番目のグラウボルフ。
了解。死にたくない。死にたくない。死にたくない。死にたくない。死にたくない。目標撃破。
Well, this shit's changed.
お疲れ。 全員気張ってたな。
弔い合戦か。
さすがに疲れてすぐに寝ちまうと思ったが、案外寂しいのかね。この時間、いつもなら。
あ
繋いできたハンドラーはいねえ。また報告書。
First episode
あ、
intro
構いません。少佐。
has a lot of
Look at all of them just immediately reacted. They really were just sitting around.
今日は取り乱してしまいすみませんでした。
いえ、
He said he would explain.
戦闘中に聞こえたあの声は一体何ですか？
死に損なったことがありまして。
as he would know, right?
というよりも多分、
I think I did die.
俺は死んだんでしょうね。
His neck, his scar.
聞こえる。
That's why I can hear
俺と
them.
同じ死んだくせに消えられないあの亡霊の声が。
あそこにいたのはレギオンでしたよね。
彼らもまた亡霊でしょう。壺とともに存在意義をなくした亡国の軍勢なのですから。
あなた方がレギオンの襲来を
You
事
can
前に察知
hear
で
it.
きるのは。
彼らの声が俺には聞こえるからです。ついてくればいつでも寝ていたとしてもわかります。
いつも今も聞こえているのですか？戦闘中だけでなく一体どれくらいの距離まで？
正確にはわかりませんが、旧国境内にいるレギオンは全て把握しています。
ないのですか？
More reason to be the
Naremashita.
Undertaker.
カイエタニア少尉の声が聞こえたのも亡霊になっていたからですか？大尉、
共和国政府はそう予測していますね。
どうしてそれ
The
を？
score of this episode's going
普
off.
段の体調から聞いていたので、レギオンには寿命が設定されていて、その残り時間はあと2年弱。
生物の脳を模したレギオンの中央処理装置、その構造図はあと2年で。
構造図が失われるなら、の構造図で代替すればいい。彼らの住む戦場にいくらでもある材料で。人間の脳です。
What in
生
the
物の
fuck?
中でも特に発達した中枢神経系 AT6 の戦死者の脳そのものでは腐敗してしまいますし、もう複数確認してもいますので、正確にはその構造のコピーだと思いますが、カイエもまだどこかにいます。だからいわゆる魂とは違うのでしょう。人の意識があるわけでも意思の疎通が図れるわけでもない、の思考をコピーされただけの存在の残滓に住み着いた亡霊です。
Ghosts that haunt the Legion.
はい、辻の中に紛れる亡霊付きのブラックシープ。今では黒羊の方が多いですが。少佐、この戦争は
どういうことですか？
構造図を上書きしたレギオンは脳を停止しないでしょう。一方で AT6 はどうですか？取っているのは子供だけ。それも
They're
ほ
all
ぼ全
already
てが戦場にいま
fighting.
す。じきに絶滅するでしょう。その時あなたたちアルバは戦えますか？自分以外の誰かに押し付けることを覚えてしまったあなたたちが。
それは
できないでしょう。
レギオンの数は減少しています。数年前から比べればもう半分。
観測できる範囲ではでしょう。あなたたちが把握しているレギオン
You
の
can
数は減っていま
observe.
す。しかしこれは後方に控える数を
What
増
the
やしている。
fuck?
戦力の温存と増強、レギオンにそんな知能は？
ないはずだった。それがもう一つの敗因です。
You're underestimating.
少なからず損傷しています。それでもなお通常のレギオンよりも高い処理能力。
God
Because
damn.
they once were.
では損傷のない脳を手に入れたら、
そんなことが。
Ray?
本来命令を受けて動くだけのレギオンを統率し、亡霊たちの指揮官、俺たちは羊飼いと呼んでいます。
Shepherds.
彼らが指揮する軍勢はそうでないものとは
Holy
比べ物にならないほど
shit.
手強いです。
家庭ではなくすでに実在しているのですか？まさか。
聞こえています。指揮官である彼らの声はよく通りますから。この第一戦区の奥にも一機います。
It has to be Ray, right?
共和国が滅びると言っても、あなたたちが全滅してしまってからの話ですよね。
そうなりますね。
それならその前にレギオンを壊滅させて勝ちましょう。私も一緒に。いえ、私も
Stairwell like she was when she
Yeah.
imagined him.
Great parallels.
私にできることは全て。
And he's walking down when she's walking up, right?
今年で人間完了なのでしょう。だからそれまでに勝利してお互いに。
そろそろいいですか？ もう消灯時間です。
遅くまでおやすみなさい。
Taking, yeah, Scar.
お前のせいだ。
Damn.
もうすぐ行ける。兄さん。
It's your
最後まで
Woo. Okay, that was 86, season 1, episode 5. That was fucked up. That was truly fucking disturbing and fucked up.
Mm-hmm. And I want to thank the show for that, because that really came out of nowhere.
I think it's a really interesting fucked twist.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I used to like binge like Junji Ito type shit,
Mm-hmm.
and it is like I'm like, just to say, like, I'm a fan of like twisted psychological fucked up shit,
Mm-hmm.
right? And when it's well written, I don't know if I've seen it done like this, like in this specific like niche twist that they've put on it. Not only do we have the elements that we've learned from 1 to 4 episodes of establishing the twisted fucked world that's already in place, but the idea not only for Shin's character, but the twist on, okay, the people who are on your side that you're having to fucking fight with to the death and see die are being utilized as a means of almost psychological, on one end, as a means to replace and benefit that hive mind that had the expiration date of 2 years so that it can elongate its own life. It's going to then further fuck you over because it's using psychological warfare to repeat their last dying words to fuck with you mentally presently. And then those who didn't actually die, that you have lost alongside you, are now being used as shepherds to control this other fucked army.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck, man.
It really was
Fuck.
very okay. Obviously, all we could talk about in terms of this fact that has been dropped on us at the moment, because we haven't seen how it plays out further and how Lena's gonna react to hearing all about it and how that will inform any actions going forward. I think that in this moment, because I just came out of the episode, all I can think about is how interesting of an answer to previously opened questions this is. When we start off this series, episode 1, we start to hear a handler go insane over these voices that they are hearing. We get further idea that Shin is somehow doing this to them. And I remember us having so many like theories or trying to figure out how exactly Shin could be putting these handlers in a position where mentally they cannot do it anymore. They commit suicide, they quit, one of those things. And I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop in terms of like starting to see Shin do whatever that is to Lena. And we even get language from, I think, Karina that's like, when is he gonna start, doing, I can't wait for him to do what he's done with the other handlers to her. When's that gonna start?
Yeah.
And now for us to know that this isn't something that he actively chooses, how much do you want to bet he warned all of those other people?
Yeah.
He might not have. He doesn't have to have narratively, but he could have maybe warned the first one and then seen that they don't listen.
Yeah.
I would be surprised if he had tried at one point warning the first handler and then they never listened to him and maybe he just gave up on it. I don't know, but obviously he warns Lena because he is starting to care for her and didn't want her to hear it. And when he hears her start to hear what he's hearing, and as soon as he hears it's Kaya, he's like, F.
Man, it did not feel right at the beginning of this episode when Shin is saying, like, there is something I need to do in terms of searching for him. I know that you had said, and I was like,
during the episode? What my thought was on that?
Like, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense, but it didn't feel right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it felt like there was something we didn't know. And fuck, it feels like now we fucking know.
I guess in a sentimentality way of what's been set up in the narrative, it could have felt right. Like if it had ended up that he just wanted to find the drawn on symbol of the headless, horseman that his brother was using and get that in the same way and carry him along with him as he does for what was like 561 other people, that would have been believable for me, to be honest. That would have been believable for me if that was the reason that he was staying in this position that he's in and wanting to search for his brother. I would have completely believed that.
There was such like a mysterious, edgy cadence to it that I was like, nah, it doesn't sit well.
Like the ending of episode 4, the last episode, the tone of how Shin was reacting, thinking about his brother, not only the scratched out nature, which I was equating to maybe it's because of like a foggy memory of not being able to picture what your family looks like anymore. He does say that they can barely picture what his family looks like anymore in this episode. But then his reaction once we got out of those images of his brother, kind of being like a pulling at his scarf, kind of smile on his face. I was like, what is the energy that is here? I could not read the energy at the time. I couldn't completely understand it. And obviously, it makes a lot more sense now.
Rei tried to kill Shin. That's my interpretation of it, right?
Like that a Rei Legion?
No, that like at the end, the after credit, that it's your fault was Rei strangling Shin.
But when would he have done that? Because the Rei we know hadn't seen his brother in years.
Yeah.
So, and then he wasn't able to go home. He died.
He died 5 years ago.
He died 5 years ago.
And it was 2124 when he had the interaction with Lena, which is quite a bit away.
Is it?
24 years, right? Let's double check.
Are they that old? I thought they were teenagers.
Let's double check. Where did we get the date for this?
Okay, 2142.
My fault. I'm a fucking idiot. 6 years ago. Okay. I'm big dumb.
So his brother died basically the year after saving Lena.
Correct.
So never got to go home to Shin. So that interaction would have happened before he left to fight.
Yeah.
So
maybe.
Is it that... Is there just supposed to be a parallel with the neck thing? His brother strangled him at some point, and then later on, Shin feels like things have come to a full circle with the fact that he almost loses his head and his brain to the Legion.
When he says, "I'll be going soon, brother," it almost is like I'm going to be finishing what you started soon, in a way. And my interpretation was initially, at least, I'm probably wrong, but was that Rei was the person strangling Shin, and the person who pushed him close enough to death or did kill him to the point where now he can hear these voices.
Yeah, but strangling someone wouldn't leave a scar like that. But we do have Shin at the beginning, like after he's explaining to Lena of like why he can hear them, that he was the closest to death. Like he was close to death. He either did die or was just extremely close, and that's why he can hear them. That is why through the para raid, any handler or any team that is synced up with Shin will hear it.
Have you seen like people who have like attempted murder cases and people who have survived an attempted strangulation, like what they like, how
Wouldn't
it
be
scars
bruised?
them?
I don't know how it like that looks like a scar, like someone like
I'm thinking like specific. Obviously we see hands, but I'm thinking like rug burn or rope burn, for example, you know?
Oh, like with a rope?
Yeah, obviously that's not what we saw here.
It could leave a scar. I don't know enough about.
I mean, he doesn't have the scar. Okay, let's look at the short, brief memory that Shin gets once taking off. Like, he doesn't have the scar when the strangulation happens, right?
No.
Not at all.
That's why I was just equating it to he might feel like something came to fruition. Like, maybe he got that scar at the same time that he was hearing his brother's voice as maybe this headless commander for the Legion for the first time. And that it's more of a connector, that this is a moment that happened in his history, and then maybe he feels like his brother finally came through with whatever that was, and that this was like serendipitous.
Interesting.
That he ended up getting this scar. My brain feels
What do you think
blown.
of when I first was watching the scene with to switch it up a little bit, Lena and Annette talking about like the dating and everything like that.
All the prospects that just want Annette's money.
This might be just totally out of left field, but it's and it's like might be too in your face. But in terms of what they're like, the mugs that they're holding, Lena's is white, Annette's is black. Like just morally, it could be just thematic. Like okay, good, right and wrong, right?
I do think Annette's character is an interesting person to have as being a friend to Lena. Because it's not that Annette is inherently like, oh yeah, what we're doing is completely fine. It's that Annette is passive to the crimes because Annette believes that if she thinks about it too hard or gets too close, she will regret and it will not be a good thing. And so like her passiveness is morally wrong. Yeah. But she's not like condoning it. She's more just trying to avoid it for her own self-preservation and mental preservation, which is a very selfish thing to do. But they had to make it for her to be able to be continuously still friends with Lena and still able to have these conversations with Lena. And you have to think about, like, who would Lena actually be comfortable being friends with? Not someone who was, like, super proud of what they were doing to the 86. It has to be someone that at least can, like, you know, if you broke them down and locked them in a room, they probably, and you made them think about it, they'd probably end up on the same page as you. But at the moment, they're trying to not get there. They're trying to keep, you know, at a distance because they know that it's going to hurt them and they know that they're going to get regrets from it or they're going to not be able to escape it in the way that Lena is now in this place where she cannot leave it alone. And so that's an interesting thing with the friendship because it's like you can be mad at Annette, but you also are like, this is like almost a real example of how a lot of people act when there's tragedies around them, that they just kind of keep themselves at a distance from it and try to not think about it too much. Yeah. And how different are they from the people that are the actual perpetrators?
I wonder if we're going to get more footage of Ray and how it would be conveyed to us, because I feel like I want / need more of his character and how he got to where he was with talking to and about Shin and how their family was from the Empire of God. Yeah, like that.
Oh, they were from District 1, but then they originally, their parents were from,
Like, I feel like that's really fucking, like, that I would appreciate if we were given a little bit more of that. It's not, like, absolutely needed, but I'd imagine we'd learn a little bit more about Ray and his relationship with Shin through Shin's own memories.
I just think this entire idea that this whole time, like, we're not even... this empire that we're fighting doesn't even exist. All that is left is these machines that they have built to fight and protect them, but it is a lost country. And they are the hive mind, like you said. It's like this technology is continuing to grow and advance, maybe with a few straggling actual humans to affect that change.
Like alive brains, you know?
Yeah.
And that's so fucking
it's a direction
twisted.
I could have never concocted. Like, I can say that without a shadow of a doubt. I could have never come up with that idea. And it's very terrifying to think about. Honestly, already... this show had us as a viewer in this place of feeling very uncomfortable with the treatment of different people and how to handle things emotionally and morally with the dynamics that are created here, with the distance that has to be between Lena, the Alba, and then the 86, while there's also closeness here, and how even Lena apologizing to them can be such a sore thing to have happen. But then to know that these people are basically fighting this war that will never end, and they're like, especially Shin's spearhead unit, are having to hear these voices and the true reality. It's like we already had what we thought was a big reality check that fucking sucked on the mental and the emotional of Lena getting taken to the battlefield and being told the truths by her father. She already had such a huge, like, oh my god, we're doing horrible things to these people. And then now she's just been given another one of those. Like another big, oh my god, what the hell is happening here? How do you in the Spearhead unit handle listening to this every single day that you fight if there's black sheep around?
Yeah. I feel like the detail that's gone into like writing the world, but specifically the war and the details surrounding it's pretty fucking crazy. Like knowing that it culminates at the end of the day that we now know that the belief and ideology that's being taught of the 2 years, right? We had the feeling that like, okay, yeah, that's being taught and that's being believed. Is that necessarily the truth? But learning about it in the way that we did of why it isn't the case is so vast, and it is literally like, it's not a direct causation, but it's almost like poetic in the sense that who are the people out there fighting, and those people inevitably, if nothing changes, would be the indirectly killing you. I liked that the inclusion of the chocolate bar with Rey, like from how little Lena was, you can tell like ration wise the time in war and when that war was initiated was obviously different from the time in terms of what we have to eat now.
And what is artificial.
Yeah.
Right.
So fucking good, man. I liked that the entire group of Spearhead, it was like, you get the semblance of like that we're talking like, yeah, yep, nobody's done this, and nobody's been able to come back and report back after hearing the voices, and yeah, everybody's talking in this like giving off that vibe that they'll get over it and everything, but you can kind of feel this tenseness or this quietness in the air that they like, that there was like a silent belief that they wanted Lena to be different, and I really loved that.
Mm-hmm. Because what has happened here is this, now that we know this exists, this is the closest Lena can get to connecting to these people than if she were there going through the same motions. And since she can't be and she's in a different room in a different place, this idea of now we have used the para-raid not only to be able to connect like auditory, but to connect like psychological and mental together and emotional, that we're able to become one here where we have all been almost welcomed into this psychological experience that Shin has that is completely traumatizing, and that we're all hearing it and we're all having to push through it. And obviously all of Spearhead has been able to do it, even though it freaking sucks. And they all do it, and they continue to fight, and they know that this might happen. And honestly, to think that they might have wanted a handler that was willing to push through that, you know, with them.
Yeah.
And like in solidarity and knowing that that is something that they go through, or a truth, a reality, that is willing to hear what Shin has to say, the hard pills to swallow of the reality of the war, how Shin knows when an attack is going to happen before an alarm sounds in the Republic.
Do you think Lena's dad was utilized by the Legion?
Good question. I still don't really understand. Did they like somehow put the bodies into their drones and transport them to a location where the brain is then dissected out?
Isn't this interesting? That Rey says if anybody's still alive, cover your ears and get down.
Yeah, because he shoots like a cannon and it's really loud.
Yeah, I know, but like just like thinking like cover your ears and take off the, you know,
take off the what?
The device.
The para-raid?
Yeah, the
fact
para-raid.
that he turned off his para-raid?
No, like the parallel between like Rey and Lena here, like cover your ears, and then the younger brother later kind of doing the same thing in the episode.
Like
take it off, don't listen. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I get you. I was really confused. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about how when he walks up to her, he turns off his para-raid.
No, but
Gotcha.
It's just wild. I feel like You ever feel like you're watching a show
Yes.
Thank you. And truthfully, like, you're not getting it. You're not getting it all, and you won't get it all until you've been able to see it and be like, holy shit, and go back and be like, that's the intended meaning.
Mm-hmm.
That's the double entendre. That's the double meaning,
Yeah.
you know?
There are definitely some shows that I don't know what it is, what concoction, that I'm able to, at least to a high percentage, feel like I've comprehended almost everything in one sitting. But then there are a lot of shows that I feel like it takes some time away from it to think about it, rewatching specific scenes, reading back specific dialogue. Sometimes it takes that. I don't think that that's like a disservice or a diss to the show or the writing or anything.
Like, the idea of, okay, so if Rey is at the end, like, regardless of your interpretation or mine of what's happening in between them, let's say just hypothetically it's that aggressive. The idea of how he talks to Lena here, of like in such a way that's like, I guess he's about your age, he's probably growing up big and strong, and then you haven't seen him, and it leads to like Rey snapping the chocolate bar. On my first like iteration of watching it just now, I was like, oh, okay, frustration from not being able to see him, but it gives something different even by the end of the episode. And I'm wondering, like, just the disposition of Rey and how he not only views the war, what he's fighting for, but specifically Shin. Like, I'm just so...
But realistically, what could a small child have done to him for him to have that amount of resentment and actually injured his brother that harshly?
Depends on what kind of person Rey is. We don't know him other than this interaction.
He seems rather kind.
From the interaction we get here,
yeah. But I also, like, I'm like, brothers fight, kids blame their siblings for things all the time. It didn't have to be something that was, like, that physical or violent or anger. It could have just been, like, he was, like, really upset in that moment. And to a kid like Shin, obviously that's a really big memory or impact, that one of his last interactions with his brother was his brother being that mad at him.
Yeah.
It doesn't even necessarily look like his brother, like, actually strangled him. It could even be that his brother put his hands on his shoulders.
I mean, then what's the point in even showing us the scar here? Then. You know?
I mean, maybe they are around his neck. I'm gonna still go with them being, like, just a parallel thing. I find that hard to believe that a scar like that would have come from just, like, his bare hands.
That's fair.
And also that Shin would have done something so deserving.
Well, that's not necessarily the case, right? By saying that Shin must have done something, that's completely absolving Rey in the interaction.
Oh, no, I didn't mean absolving, but something that would have pushed this person to get so angry in this moment.
No, and that's what I mean. Like that's assuming that Rey's mentally
stable.
Yeah,
and acts like a rational human being.
Yeah, that's like opera. Because like at that point, it's like, what the fuck could a kid do? Like at that point,
exactly.
Like,
that's why I was like, oh, is this actually just brothers fighting, and it's being painted in this way that...
But I mean, okay, under the assumption that Rey is being used, and that is what Shin's dialogue about, that's what he needs to do. He needs to search for him. I'll be going soon, brother. I could see I could see Shin's motivation here being intertwined with putting an end to Rey in whatever form he may take here.
Which would seem sweet.
Potentially, yeah. For sure. Like under the narrative of putting him out of his misery, or putting the memory of him out of his misery because he's been given his brain's been given over to the Legion. Yeah, like that a part of you wouldn't be used for, like, yeah. And if it wasn't for again, I'm probably wrong, but if it wasn't for a scene that might have been Rey strangling his little brother and being the reason that he died partially, I would completely agree. But that's definitely like up in the air for me if that is like the case, but I could be totally wrong.
I mean, they already did something crazy in this episode with the brain thing anyway, so
it's pretty fucking twisted.
I honestly don't it's pretty twisted, so I feel like any current interpretation I might have could completely go
it's
out
also
the
like
window.
look where the fucking mirror's broken.
Oh, the mirror's broken
like,
in the perfect location for this shot. I completely agree with that. The last thing I would want to talk about is the stairwell.
Oh, the parallel.
Maybe that's because it's like that moment I'm like, ah, you know, at least the first one. But also like this is a twisted and effed up show so far, so I'm like, maybe I shouldn't be like romantic brain and romanticizing this really effed up situation.
I mean, there's two perspectives going on, right? Letta and Shin.
Yeah.
Like I just feel like I want to learn more about Shin. Maybe that's what I meant this entire discussion when I am talking about wanting to know more about Rei's disposition, his point of view. I think that Shin is such a fascinating character to me that's still a bit of a question mark because of how formally he talks and how he is in his own fucked up world and torturous world. He had that innate reaction to Lena asking about if this bothered him in terms of always being able to hear the shit. What does that do to a person? Like, what the fuck does that do to a person, you know?
He's obviously he either feels like he deserves it, or he's taken upon this mantle and is like, I'm strong enough to be the one that carries everyone that's fallen with me and make sure that none of them... Oh, what is it? You know, now I have to go back. You remember when the language of like, have they, did you take care of them, or have they gone home, or what was the language?
No, it completely recontextualizes the first episode.
Yes.
It recontextualizes the first episode and the mercy killing that we thought was just a mercy killing. And it's not even mercy killing in the vein of putting, like, so they don't have to die a slow agonizing death, or being held prisoner. It's much more twisted than that. And so that's like putting under the entire title and character that we've gotten introduced to of Shin before we even met Shin as a character. We're knowing that the weight that he's carrying with him is not that only of putting people out of their misery and doing what he does to handlers. No, it's a solitude that he is walking forward with, bearing a responsibility of in of himself. It's
which heavy. I imagine that his hope is to then do that to his brother, what he does for these people that are fallen. They said that they meant to torch Kaye, or they thought they had torched Kaye. Obviously not enough, I guess, if Kaye's brain was still... We've got the line of, like, they can use damaged brains, but they're better than the Legion, but they're not as good as the, like, brains that are undamaged.
The brains that are undamaged
commanders
can operate as shepherds. The ones that are cannot. They're being utilized to repair the nerve, I believe, but also the voices and the last thoughts. Yeah. God damn it! I feel like I've had a rough like month and a half, but I feel like I'm really like coming to terms with shit. Want to know what isn't? My fucking notebook, dude. I have like 5 about to be fallen out of my notebook, and now everything's out of order. So when I'm looking for terms or titles that I know where they would be and they're not, I'm lost within this discussion.
I guess you're gonna have to get a new notebook and rewrite. Like, luckily it's only 5 episodes, so
yeah,
it shouldn't be
like
too difficult. Because I feel
20
like
pages of notes already.
More are just gonna fall out.
Yeah.
Or you need to number the bottom of your pages, so if they all fall out, you can then put them in order and you can staple them. I'm
enjoying this show a lot, though.
I mean,
right or wrong, I just like talking about it.
I remember saying last episode, I was like, oh yeah, watch the like first... was it last episode? Or the episode before that I was like, normally you gotta watch the first 3, but I feel like for this show, the first 4 really solidify the narrative. And then they came out with the next episode. Okay, it doesn't have to be proof wrong.
Confirmed.
Did you need to know this to continue the series? No. So I don't think it's proof in the pudding. I think it's just like, isn't that funny that I felt solidified on the narrative and then they did something crazy right after I felt comfortable? Like, if anything, that's great writing.
one episode's enough to stick with the series. There, you cannot put a number on an episode for as exposed to a narrative. That's my hot take. Just
That's
like
true.
all bread tastes the same. It's facts. Facts in this world.
You're gonna close out with all bread tastes the same.
Yeah, because then it makes me look worse.
Why are you trying to make yourself look worse?
It's natural. But I believe it. I'm not perfect. I'm wrong a lot.
I'm wrong a lot too. Like, I'm probably going too harshly with trying to believe that I am missing vibes and context with the brothers' relationship.
No.
in
We
this
can't
episode.
devolve into that. You are the grounded one who takes what is shown on the television and through stories and tells me and explains why it is that way, and I am the one who's unhinged, saying shit that doesn't make sense and is probably wrong, and the dummy. So you can't be going into that direction too. You are the grounded one. I'm a lunatic.
Couldn't we have swapped places? Isn't
Nope.
that possible?
Mm-mm.
Okay. I guess I'm the grounded one.
Mm-hmm. You good?
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.